My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours, a music podcast where we chat to a new guest each week, talk about their life and creative endeavours, and talk to them about some of the music they love. Our show works by chatting to our guests about music, their songwriting techniques, and occasionally getting them to make you a playlist of the songs they love. Welcome to episode 176. I'm your host, Simon Fink. Our guest today is Sofi Tukker. The Grammy-nominated dance and electro duo are currently in the midst of an Australian tour, supporting their most recent record, Wet Tennis. In today's episode, we're speaking with both Sophie and Tucker about the songwriting for this record, their Australian shows, and DJing in the back of a truck. Here we go. Our guests today are a dance and electronic duo who have become famous for some of their Grammy-nominated work, including Best Friend and Purple Hat. Earlier this year, they released their brilliant second record, entitled Wet Tennis, and are currently in the middle of an Australian tour. Please welcome to This Song Is Yours, Sophie Halloweld and Tucker Halpin. Hello from Sofi Tukker.
Hi.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for your time today. Firstly, how are you both?
Really good. We had a crazy show in Sydney last night.
And a crazy show in Melbourne the night before.
Yeah. And a crazy not show in Splendor.
I was going to get to that in a second. Yes, you are in the country with us at the moment. So firstly, welcome. And I hope obviously everyone has been very welcoming towards you. I guess, let's dive straight into it. I think it was you guys were 3 minutes out before hearing about Splendor and the not happening in the grass.
Yeah, I mean, we had come pretty far. We came right from Tomorrowland in Belgium. So, yeah.
What is that? That's like a 40-something hour flight?
It was a lot.
Something
traveled a long time, and then we got there and we were 3 minutes away, and then it got canceled for the day. So that was a bummer. But actually it ended up fine because, First of all, we got to spend time in Byron Bay, which is the most beautiful place in the world. And then we did like a little show at a place called the Great Northern or something. Mm-hmm. That ended up really fun. And yeah, we had these 2 shows past 2 days.
Yeah, it was great. All you can do is kind of laugh when things like that happen. It's like part of the game.
Of course, I just think 3 minutes is extremely close to the game, so you should be commended on traveling that far and getting within a hairline of the gig. But as you mentioned, you have played some shows as well while you've been here. Sydney and Melbourne have already taken place over the weekend. How are they, and how have the Australian crowds been receiving Sofi Tukker so far?
It's been incredible. So good. I mean, people like come up. They come dressed up, in like tennis gear and purple and cheetah print. And even like last night was a Sunday night. I didn't even realize because people were so crazy.
Yeah, it's really been nuts. I mean, the energy is so good, and it has made us feel so happy to be here and not missing the Splendor show at all. It's so worth it with these shows anyway.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that. I know even from a few of the own personal circles that I have discussed with, there does seem to be a lot of excitement that you guys are in the country. I feel that Sofi Tukker currently seems to be a band that crosses a number of groups, if you will. I know that some of my in-laws' parents love Sofi Tukker. I know some friends at work that love Sofi Tukker. I know people in my own clique or whatever that love Sofi Tukker. So it seems that there's a lot of hype and a lot of love for you guys in the country at the moment. So I'm glad to hear that so far those shows have been going well.
I'm really glad to hear that,
it's
too.
Mutual. Yeah. We love it here. We always say if it wasn't so damn far from our families, we would totally live here.
We don't like to make it easy for people, but when they do arrive here, we try and show them the effort is reciprocated, yeah. You are touring your most current record at the moment. It is called Wet Tennis. It did come out in April, so we have been able to live with the album for a little bit. But I guess to begin with, this album, firstly, is fantastic. Congratulations on the album, because it is brilliant, and I think it kind of encapsulates the best of what Sofi Tukker does in terms of mixing numerous sonics together and having it work as a beautiful kind of party soundtrack, if you will.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. We had a lot of fun making this one.
Yeah.
I know that usually you guys would write, produce, create while on the road. With the world the way that it's been the last few years in the pandemic, not to be too COVID heavy, but I guess with Wet Tennis, how was that songwriting process and how did it differ? Because obviously you're not in the back of planes or trains or buses, you are at home writing and trying to create.
Yeah, it was definitely very different. I mean, I think part of the side effect was that we actually got to put a lot more intention and time into everything. So we really built out a whole universe and got to really think about, the aesthetic and the album title and the track listing, and everything was really meticulously thought about because we just had the time.
Yeah. As well as making the music, I think. We had way more time to do it, and it was really different than the first album when we were touring and making it. Like you were saying, we had in our minds what's going to make the crowd move, what's going to be a perfect song to perform. And really we're thinking about the performance when creating the music. And this time we didn't know when we'd get to perform again. We didn't, we weren't thinking about how is this going to translate to a performance. We weren't thinking about that all the time. Sometimes we were thinking about, let's just make music we'd want to listen to right now when we're at home, hanging out in the living room or making food in the kitchen. And I think some of the songs with some chiller vibes, like Original Sin or Forgive Me or something like, some stuff like that, kind of hits those aspects of life that we were doing a lot more than usual because of the pandemic. Also, we were DJing every day, so we were live streaming, and that was very also inspiring, I think, for the music making, because we wanted to make songs that fit into our DJ sets. So
100%.
Yeah.
I think that there was one, where did I see it? There was a DJ set that you guys did in the back of a truck in Miami, which looked incredible.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was so fun. We just were trying to come up with fun ideas to do things and keep the connection with the community that was really building around these live streams. There were people all over the world that would tune in every single day at the same time, even in Australia, and it was 3 a.m. every day when we would do it. I apologize to anyone in Australia who was frustrated.
We're committed, if nothing.
You are committed. And we were doing it in our living room for hundreds and hundreds of days. And it had been my dream since I got that truck. Even before I bought the truck in COVID, I was like, I want to end up live streaming a DJ set in the back of a truck while it's driving around our neighborhood. And eventually we got there. And then we even did one actually through a safari in Florida. So we were DJing in the back of the truck with rhinos and giraffes.
Zebras.
It was so fun. We actually are we're planning a next level live stream in a vehicle soon that I won't say more, but we're pretty psyched about it.
I'm very, very excited to have almost like a semi-scoop, if you will, or at least to hear that there's something in the works. So we'll make sure that we do promote that when it is out, and I look forward to seeing what it is.
It's fun.
With this record, as you mentioned, you were live streaming, you were kind of bringing together quite a few people in a time that was very difficult for a lot of people. And I think that the upbeat nature of both of you, the personalities that you both have, the personality that the music has as well, definitely helped. And with that, I think that Sofi Tukker, from the band that you were pre-pandemic to the band that you are now has grown exponentially, because it seems that even just using Australia as an example, I think last time you were here, you played the Corner Hotel, which is a beautiful venue in Melbourne, whereas this time you played the Forum, which is like 2 to 3 upgrades worth. I think that you've made such a connection with people throughout the pandemic, and I was wondering if that's the same for you on your side of it. I guess if you've noticed that, other than the venue upgrades, that people seem to be engaged a lot more with the band.
Yeah, definitely the venue upgrades, and also just like the quality of the connection, like, you know, the extent to which even like people understand the assignment of what to wear at a Sofi Tukker concert, you know what I mean? Like that actually always blows my mind, when like you could walk around the street and like see a crowd of people and you're like, they're definitely going to a Sofi Tukker show. Like I feel like it's become very clear like what it is that we stand for and what the aesthetic is and like what the whole world like beyond the music is. Yeah.
Also, just, I mean, generally, like, numbers-wise, like, followers-wise, like, we, like, doubled those types of things throughout the pandemic, and just kind of, like, really, it was really nice because it really was good for our mental health, and it was good for us getting through it, to have something to do, to feel like there was a purpose every day. And I think also people were grateful. So there was this like really awesome gratefulness that was mutual between us for people showing up and us for also showing up for other people. And it felt really good. And yeah, the venues, the North American tour we just did was like a way big upgrade from the tour we did before. Like some, you know, we're starting to get into arenas in some countries. So it's really exciting. I mean, the album is an acronym for when everyone tries to evolve, nothing negative is safe. That's what Wet Tennis spells out. And that actually is inspired by this whole idea that
this season, Instacart has your back to school. As in, they've got your back to school lunch favorites like snack packs and fresh fruit. And they've got your back-to-school supplies like backpacks, binders, and pencils. And they've got your back when your kid casually tells you they have a huge school project due tomorrow. Let's face it, we were all that kid. So first, call your parents to say I'm sorry, and then download the Instacart app to get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes all school year long. Get a $0 delivery fee with your first 3 orders while supplies last. Minimum $10 an order. Additional terms apply.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
You know, negative things are going to happen. Obstacles are going to be flung at you. We can't necessarily do anything about it, but if we stay positive, you know, keep building community, choose to dance in your living room all day when you can't get out of your living room. You know, these types of things were so inspiring to us that so many people around the world were doing, that it inspired us to keep going and doing things during this time when we could have kind of just packed it in and taken a vacation or something. And, you know, I think the negative things aren't safe. They're not going to stick around if you continue to evolve and grow. And that was something we really wanted to say with the album, and something we're really inspired about from that whole time.
I love that kind of mentality, and that, I guess, what is the mission statement, if you will, in relation to the record. I think that on the album, personally, I have 2 favorite tracks. I think that I think, as I mentioned, the album as a whole is fantastic. I think the title track seems to, every time that comes on within the house, I find myself moving in some capacity. And the other one was Larry Bird, which, after doing a bit more research, found that does have a bit more of a personal touch in relation to yourself, Tucker, if you can tell us what the personal touch on Larry Bird is.
Yeah, well, it features my father. And I grew up in Boston as a major basketball fan and basketball player. And my dad as well is sort of a basketball junkie. And I grew up hearing stories about Larry Bird, who my dad used to watch all the time and is one of the greatest basketball players ever, especially super icon in Boston. And I always wanted to make a song where we said Larry Bird, like on the drop, like just like that. And we had talked about it for a while, and the song finally happened, and we were gonna go sample old announcers talking about Larry Bird, like telling stories about it. And then we realized it would actually be cool if we just had my dad talk and tell the stories he used to tell me when I was young about Larry Bird, like just stories that are, written about and other players have told and stuff. And so we just got him to record a bunch of stories, and then we put it in the track, and it really feels like a special thing for him, who's always been so supportive of us and such a involved, loving dad. So it felt really fun to have that as part of the album. That's
awesome. I did read somewhere that he made it to, I think it was a show in Brooklyn and did it live.
Yeah, he was really, really funny about it. It was a great moment. It was a crowd, I don't know, 7,000 or something, and he got up there, and it was just a great moment for us.
That's awesome. That's lovely. At the moment, I know that you are touring the world, and so usually we'd kind of ask when bands are touring the releases that we're chatting to them about. Luckily, we have had the album for a few months, and you are here at the moment. How are you finding the reception of Wet Tennis around the world? I know we've spoken about those crowds, but I guess sonically or musically, now, I guess a few months removed from the release, I guess are things starting to feel different when you play them live? Is your favorite song from when you released it maybe a different favorite song now?
Yeah, I mean, I remember last night when we played Summer in New York, as soon as the little intro happened, everyone started freaking out. I was like, oh, interesting. People really know this song in Australia, which is really cool also because it's a song about, New York City. So the fact that it's really connected in Australia is very cool.
Triple J's been pumping it.
Yeah, Triple J's been playing it a lot. So that was really cool to see. And people really sang along to All of Original Sin, and All of Sun Came Up. And you never know what songs.
Has your favorite songs changed at all?
I think that my favorite song actually has become maybe the title track, Wet Tennis.
When we started doing interviews, when it came out, you were saying your favorite song was What a Wonderful World.
Yeah.
So I think it has changed. Actually.
Yeah, but I think the reason it's changed is because I like performing it so much. It's just it's my favorite one to perform live. And so
there's really fun choreography.
Yeah, it's there's choreography. I'm playing electric guitar, then I'm playing acoustic guitar, then we're doing the choreography together. Then there's so much dynamic, and it's so euphoric, that song. So I think that's just become my favorite because I like doing it live so much.
It's also a really nice moment in the show because the groove and the tempo is different. And a lot of it is more house music tempo and more upbeat. And that one, it's really dancy, but it's more of a side to side circular movement rather than a jump, go crazy.
Yeah.
And it's right in the middle of our set too. It feels really good.
The live show, I think, is becoming extremely well known for, I think here in Australia, from some photos I've seen, there's a big tennis scoreboard in the background. Mm-hmm. As part of it, I saw some footage from the US, I want to say only a few months ago, where it looks incredible. The live aspect of Sofi Tukker appears to be this incredibly, I think you mentioned it before, it's very immersive. The fans get dressed up, but even on stage for you guys, it's this combining of live instruments, of electronic instruments. I think there was one festival, Tucker, where you even had I want to say there were screens or something on a tree that you were kind of hitting along the way as a percussion instrument, which is incredible.
We actually,
when you guys are sitting down,
we do that every show. That is now the scoreboard.
Yeah, the same
screens
from the
on
tree.
The scoreboard are triggers, and I drum on those.
That's incredible.
Yeah, on every show. It's so much fun. All our live shows. Yeah.
We are, before we started recording, we were talking about where you'd been so far. We are based in Adelaide, so we will see you Thursday to be able to see this in the flesh, which is very exciting.
You'll see the scoreboard at work.
When you're both sitting down you've written the songs and you're looking at that live aspect of what can we do to make it immersive for fans, interesting for yourself, because again, you guys, with all love and respect to the fans, this is something that you guys have to do again and again and again. So how do you find that? Yeah. How do you find that balance of keeping it interesting for yourself and finding something that is going to be interesting to fans and make the live show unique?
I mean, I really do think that part of the beauty and like the times that it becomes really fun is actually when it's like autopilot for us. Like we know the parts, we know the songs. And so we're able to like completely flow and be in the moment with the people. And then every night it changes. Like, every night is a competition. So we always go against each other. The scoreboard actually is keeping score. So like that's an element that is always a surprise. And you never know like what their interaction with the crowd is going to be like. And so much of our show is based on the interaction that it's always a surprise. And so actually like keeping the set list relatively the same, for instance, like it can be super freeing because then that remains the same. And then everything else just is like super playful.
Yeah. I do think because there's so much interaction with the crowd and the crowd is different every time, it's really part of the show.
Yeah.
So the show never feels redundant, because it's like a different experience. And even like architecturally, like the venues are different and the size of the stage is different. I know the Adelaide stage I was looking at the specs for it because we were just planning the stage and it's much smaller. And so it'll be a little different. So the way we move with each other and the way we do choreography together will be a little different. And maybe we're simple people, but I don't think I'll ever get sick of it.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is we like the music. Like we make music that we like. So that's really nice. And also, I'll always find somewhere in the venue to show up that's not on stage to perform from. So that's always a really fun curveball.
Yeah, she like pops up behind everyone at one point, and it's just like a cool thing. Hopefully we'll be able to do that in Adelaide. We got to see the venue.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not possible, but...
Once we finish recording, I've got one or two ideas that we can hand over in terms of the Adelaide venue to let you know.
Perfect.
So we won't give it away on the recording. With I guess being able to be so free and I guess having that freedom in going with the flow, how often do ideas kind of come up to you where you could improve them, or new ideas about the live show? Like in terms of, I know that you're still promoting Wet Tennis at the moment, but in the background or behind the scenes, have you already started planning what you could do for the next tour or the next album, or kind of where ideas are just constantly coming?
Yeah, ideas are definitely constantly coming. I think everything that we do is like iterative. We get to make something and then we get to perform it, and then like the feedback and the travel and the connections and the whatever then gives us more inspiration to do something else. And then yeah, we're still like very much in Wet Tennis world, but we're always creating, and the next thing is forming. We
have songs that we're really excited about. We don't have, we haven't started thinking about overall project themes. We like to kind of just like make the best songs we can and then start shaping it, seeing what the music kind of indicates the rest of the ideas about it. But we really are in Wet Tennis mode still. There's a ton of remixes that we have that we've been DJing a lot when we were just on a DJ tour in Europe. And some of these remixes haven't come out yet, and they're really fun and exciting, a lot of them actually. So there's still a lot to go on Wet Tennis.
That's very exciting to know. And as I mentioned, the album is incredible, so I'm looking forward to that we're still able to kind of remain in that phase for a little bit longer. As we mentioned, see you on the rest of your Australian tour for the rest of this week. Before we wrap up, Sophie and Tucker, we would usually ask, I guess, what they're currently listening to, if there's an album or EP, single track, whatever it may be, that's got on high rotation at the moment?
Okay, last night in the dressing room, we were dancing around and Tucker was like leading us in a choreography.
Oh, we were just goofing around.
It was so funny.
We were warming up before the show and we started dancing with Setmo, actually, who was playing before us. They came up and we were doing this funny dance. Is it called Free? It's a song, Florence and the Machine, but it's a Blessed Madonna remix. I think it's called Free.
So good.
Let me make sure. It is a really good remix. It's really interesting, like tempo-wise, and it's cool. Let me see. I think it's called Free. Yeah, it's called Free. You should look that song up. It's awesome.
Yeah, there it is.
I will put the link for that track in the podcast episode, along with the rest of the tour dates for yourselves for the rest of this week. Sophie and Tucker, thank you very much for being on the podcast today. I do appreciate it. And congratulations again on Wet Tennis and the tour, which is continuing throughout the week.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And that's our show. A massive thank you to Sofi Tukker for their time. Wet Tennis is out now, and with the links in the show notes if you'd like to buy the record or catch them on their remaining tour dates. We also want to give a huge shout out to Millie at Positive Feedback for helping out with today's interview. If you like this show, please subscribe wherever you get your pods and stay up to date when new episodes are released. We release new shows each Wednesday and Friday morning, and we now have a Patreon, which you can find within the show notes of this episode. You can follow the player's profile on Spotify, and you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Until next week, cheers.
Imagine the softest sheets you've ever felt. Now imagine them getting even softer over time. That's what you'll feel with Boll & Branch's best-selling signature sheets in 100% organic cotton. In a recent customer survey, 96% replied that Boll & Branch sheets get softer with every wash. Start getting your best night's sleep in sheets that get softer and softer for years to come. Try their sheets with a 30-night guarantee. Plus, get 15% off your first order at bollandbranch.com, code BUTTERY. Exclusions apply. See site for details.